Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
Tom Haines, I have on the screen now. Sorry about that. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Is that okay if I introduce you with some of your bio that you have provided?
Absolutely, fantastic. Great to be here. We had a wonderful session earlier with the group, and yeah, Audrey's presentation I think is going to flow nicely on into this present one. Yeah.
I can't wait to rewatch any of the other sessions, seeing I've been very happily and passionately occupied with the workshops. But
yes, yeah, fantastic.
It's recorded and we can review it, which I certainly look forward to. So here we are, Tom Haines, a futurist, speaker, and mentor. Do you dream of profound successes in life? Are you aware of the impact of stress over time? How clear is your project, career, or life vision? Is your approach both scientific and heartfelt? Tom's passion is supporting individuals and communities and companies to create collaborative projects that result in profound inner and outer success. This is achieved through a neuroscience-inspired process that results in collaborative wisdom called quantum storyline. This collaborative approach supports renewal in thinking, in action, and achievement to reach individual and collaborative goals. Tom's purpose with the quantum storyline is to be a facilitator of game-changing value, a heart-centered approach, secure digital environments and assets, a compelling business case, and a neuroscience-inspired approach. He engages communities with keynote presentations, training and mentoring inspired by key breakthroughs of deep significance. He has been invited as a keynote speaker in many countries. He has completed about 16 presentations all over the world, really. And he loves working with community leaders, creatives, business owners, and entrepreneurs that have a compelling vision for a sustainable living planet. So Tom's goal is to unlock collaborative wisdom to enhance our professional development, community projects, and all business values. I'm so looking forward to hearing your presentations on collaborative wisdom inspired by quantum storyline. The virtual stage is all yours, Tom.
Brilliant. Thanks, Gabby, for your wonderful introduction. That's very kind of you. And also to the Global Transformation Festival for giving me this opportunity. A quantum leap into a new Earth. This is a really big topic, but also very personal, very heartfelt, and structured into our consciousness, into our DNA. What I'd like to chat with you today is about supporting you in your exploration of that plenum, that quantum field, supporting you on your personal journey, whether for the health, well-being, supporting you in your professional life, projects, outcomes, or supporting you in that place that you live, or for changing the planet. This presentation and workshop is very simple and essentially a snapshot, some insights into how we can start to collaborate together. Today, we've heard many people speak about the quantum storyline in different ways. We all have our quantum story. And what I'd like to talk to you today is how to take your Earth walk, this step-by-step material world that we live in, and then look at that archetypal quest. And that archetypal quest is that heroine's journey, that hero's journey. And that we have been really pursuing our vision, many of us, in fact, all of us, all our life. And then at the deepest level of this, we have this quantum storyline. And this is that story structured into those pathways of nature. Behind Gabu, we see those mountaintops and down to the ocean. We see that natural flow of life from the melting glaciers and the snow down through to the plains and to the ocean and all the people living in between. I would like to talk to you today if you are somebody who's inspired by the quantum world, the spiritual world, the holistic world. I would like to support you if you want to make a breakthrough in your project, a breakthrough in terms of your passion. And I'd love to support you to feel that love and connection more deeply. We can grow this quantum leap to the future. And we use terms like quantum leap so lightly, but this is just moving into that happier phase of human existence, an ancient eternal phase. And this is the quantum storyline, structured into that energy, that intelligence, the very fabric of space and time. We were here to grow, to love, to live, and give expression to that quantum world into our practical day-to-day world. A deeply inspiring opportunity to speak to this group. And I would like to share with you a really big idea. A big idea that's structured into our very DNA, every reflex, every muscle, every neuron of our life, of this incredible human physiology and antenna that we have. And this promise is we have made that radical breakthrough to the root. We have everything we need for collaboration. We have all the technology, all the material, all of the investment and project opportunities, all of that for sure. But now we have that awakening and that consciousness and the articulation and reverence and depth of that consciousness that now is awakening within us. And we can see that in the flowering of this global transformation festival. And people just now live in their bubble. It's amazing. It's so, so fantastic. And so what I'd like to talk to you today is about your personal, professional, your project outcome, and how we can really think strategically together to support you to achieve those big goals. And to give you just some insights, some nudges, maybe connect with some resources, some opportunities, help you take that next step that you need to take. So I'd like to ask you to grab a piece of paper and let's test the controls, see if we're going to get our, yes, quantum storyline up on the screen. So that's fantastic. You never know really with Zoom. Sometimes something quite random will pop up or nothing at all, or the whole thing will melt down and you'll be kicked out. But today you can see this quantum storyline and this dialogue. And I've just got one person in the room with me, but also I feel you all out there in digital world and the broadcast. And this idea of the quantum storyline is going to take an example. And I'm showing you this good community project. And so imagine northern New South Wales, zooming into this beautiful valley, and you can see the water there, the flowers. And I'm going to give you a grounded example of a project. And we're going to kind of refer to this. And, you know, there's a wonderful team growing here. This is on the actual location, and you can see they're actually growing. You know, there's passionate people already moving on site, but also in the background, there are coders, entrepreneurs working to capture this value with the blockchain and new digital ways of capturing value. So people can be rewarded. So, you know, digging, building, collaborating, all can be recognized. And here's some happy faces, families, because ultimately this is about growing and growing community together. And we all have this opportunity. So if you've got a pen or you've got a piece of paper, just note down, what is my personal, professional, or my project, my place, my planet? What do I want to be creating? And we'll just be taking some notes. Obviously, this is a one-way broadcast, so I can feel you. And the main thing is, have a think and just pick a project. So we can be thinking about the plenum, that quantum field. Do you want to experience that quantum akashic field through Vedic science and experience and practice through that transcending and connecting with that world within? Is it a personal goal, relationship, happiness, stress reduction, health, or well-being project? Or is it a project that's professional, business, corporate, or organizational outcome? Or are you working for a place locally, working with community to develop, creating that city, that province, or that whole country transformation? Or is it planetary? Are you working for that inspired level of the whole globe, or galaxy, or universe? Choose a project, and these principles will work for you. And I'll just come back to the group, because this is definitely not chalk and talk, or, you know, collapsing into the PowerPoint world. I'm so thrilled for you to be listening to this. It really is a heartfelt experience. And I can see Gabby as my audience member. And I know that her connection with First Nation people, her global family and tribe, and also her experience in life has brought her to this point to be in this meeting with me. And what I'd also like to say is, why am I giving this presentation? My name is Tom Haines. I work as a futurist. I've had the great opportunity to set up and run commercial research and development programs, and also, excuse me, speak globally to, you know, in countries, to organizations, amazing opportunities. I've also had a phenomenal experience of working deeply with this Cooperative Research Center for Low Carbon Living, and really looking at those innovations and ideas. But really, who is Tom Haines? And that is a very good question. I have a very unique past, as we all do. And that my past was kind of forged, you know, through these world wars, between, you know, the Cold War, between America, Russia, and the UK, an intense, overbred, let's say, English family. You can hear it in my accent. And there were some shearing forces, some pressures there that over time now I've come to love that. And the thing is that those existential questions that seem to be very lively in the room, even at 6 years old, have now led me to explore both the world at a very deep level, I feel, and also my inner world and inner life. I'm thrilled to be a teacher of transcendental meditation, and I've loved the fact that my grandmother learnt meditation, introduced by the founder in the 50s, and that's been in my family. And I've had that connection with that ancient tradition, but also on the flip side, I've explored sustainability, community, environment, architecture. And now I'm going to bring those two worlds together. And our life is spiritual and also practical. So on one track, you're going to have this kind of quantum discussion. And on the other side, you're going to have this practical applied, bringing all of those innovations and ideas together to take your project to the next level. And what I would like to outline for you is tapping into, what do you most want in life? I'm going to let that hang there. What is your destiny? Can we find or facilitate a reliable way that now, after all your experience, you can step by step by step, and then jump and step by step into that leap through break through, maybe it's a break in, maybe it's a break out, maybe it's a break with, maybe it's a break together. The main thing about this is we all have doubts, and I would like to include those doubts today in your project. There's a great quote, I've had many terrible things in my life, many of which never happened. You just imagine them. And the thing is that we weren't brought here to suffer, to this place, this planet, this day. We can understand the most profound principles of nature. We haven't been set up for a fall. These things just aren't true. Nature is a powerful force, and we can just tap into that because this body, this antenna, is naturally attuned to that field. And looks like we can't change? I don't think so. We can change quickly. There is an aquifer in humanity that can be drawn up in times of stress to radically and instantly change our future. And what I would like to basically tune into, I don't know if Gabby can get messages from the outside world, but send your questions. I love questions. And the thing is, from my side, this is maybe a sliding doors moment in your life where you realize this is who I am and this is what I do. And in these common hours, I'm going to dream the biggest dream. And if you're not sure why you're hearing this, this is a life-changing moment because we're going to connect that quantum world of space, time, and causation that dilates and basically is blinking in and out into this physical, manifest, and material printout. It's basically a hologram. And as they say, it's turtles all the way down. It's all one. And the amazing thing is that those challenges that we face, whether it's on a personal level, day to day, if it's, in your project, in your company, if it's, for example, imagine the challenges that good community is going through. They're building blockchain value creation. It's amazing digital way of an immutable store of value. But there's quite a lot to do there. Or they're building a farm. They need passionate people to come and actually build community, tiny homes, water, resources, energy. They want to create a fabulous place of peace, harmony, but it's practical stuff. We are in a time of extraordinary pressure and challenge and division, but that is creating exactly the opposite of connection, inspiration, and people wanting just to go to the next level. This festival, people are just piling into it because of that energy and excitement. And I think the thing is, we are in a paradigm shift. Paradigm shift. It's here. A worldview shift. This is when our heart shifts, our mind shifts. Those fine memory structures of the hippocampus suddenly just awaken. It's like a child standing up for the first time and taking that step. Or that thalamus. Imagine your whole world plan, and maybe it's, an old model, it's colonial, it's got technology, it's very patriarchal, it got us to this point and we just can't stop. But it's just that little nudge of that thalamus that then goes, oh, this could work for everybody. Those people really have a lot of wisdom. Maybe we could bring them in. I love this win-win idea. And so what we have in your, view, microscopic, human scale, macroscopic, doesn't matter. These principles, these templates of nature that I'd like to outline to you today are the way that we connect with this blueprint, this fundamental process in nature. And this is systemic. It's inspired by nature, that quantum field, and also applied in our printout world, in the hologram that we live in. And this is the time. I'm giving you permission right now. The memory is here. As we said in our amazing group workshop, Marshall Lefferts, world leader in quantum physics and the geometry of space-time, said that cosmic consciousness is now commonplace. I love hearing that, because this is how we actually take that step into the future, is by enlivening that level of life. So today, I'd like you to listen on a number of levels, and I'm talking about listening, and we'll go into what I mean by that in a little bit more detail. So the thing is, when you think about your project, okay, or, I mean, we've almost got the picture behind Gabby. When you think of that valley and growing that community in it, what do we need to do that? How do we build that momentum? Gabby, could I just check in with you? Firstly, I want to make sure that the speaker view is hitting my screen properly, because I notice you're highlighted. And secondly, can you tell me where your valley is behind you?
Well, this is the beautiful valley that I live in, and it's in Northeast Victoria.
Beautiful.
It's actually fantastic.
Beautiful, fantastic. And I've got speaker view back to me. So those mountaintops, I thought that this, oh, it looks like North America. Where's this? It's like, so looking forward to visiting. The main thing is, when you are thinking, so you saw that valley behind Gabby, and if you were thinking that, you know, your project is basically like building from nothing that vibrant community. So I'm just going to come back to sharing the screen. And let's look at this very simple formula. So there's a lot in here. So just bear with me, and I'm going to talk you through this simple idea of listening. And we're listening to our environment. We're listening to those people and those wisdom traditions, those elders, those First Nation people. We're listening also to our family and our friends. We're also listening to ourselves and this antenna. And whether it's a digital message or a real in-person message, or if it's just watching nature. And then also we're listening to that inner life. We're listening. We know that we have that outer world and we're settling down, and then we're listening to deeper and deeper levels, intuitive levels. And then we listen, and then essentially that process takes us to that transcendent and that listening within. And that's where transcendental meditation and these ancient knowledge of the self comes in. So I hope you can see on the screen, and I'll read it through for you if you can't, or if it's too small, or if you're on a phone and you're kind of looking into this stamp-sized screen and wondering what does that say. So the first aspect of listening is listening for this life intention. So this is the LI. So life intention. And that life intention is our personal destiny. So in that project that you were thinking about, what really is there for you? I mean, I spoke about my Cold War past and, you know, that incredible transformation that went on. And I also mentioned that my grandmother introduced me to transcendental meditation, and that led to, you know, a life lived out in the world, but also with this connection to the quantum, with the transcendent. And that was kind of mixed up in that story that led to today. So when you tap into that core, and after this presentation, maybe listen again, stop the recording and go back and think about those deep questions. And with gratitude, all those influences that happened. And I know some are happy, some are in the middle, and some are not. But it's based on that heartfelt connection that you find that, you know, grandiosity and transmute that grandiosity. It's actually through that wound that we find the legacy manifesto. What is it that you would like to leave for the future? And yes, it is, you know, on the surface, logical planning and visioning, but then also more experiential visioning and, you know, the quest within and dreaming the future and experiencing and practicing and literally creating that future from that wellspring within. And it's a process, and we're walking in that essence of the self, that flow of the self, that tapping into our own essential nature. And this is that life intention. And I would like to summarize that is in a question: what is your legacy manifesto? And that will help take you to the next level. You will never stop on that project, that personal quest, that wanting to desire to understand the plenum or to establish that, place of joy. The second aspect is silencing and transcending. And I'm leaving this up on the screen so you can read it. But basically, that intention, yes, we know about manifesting and attracting your dreams, etc. But this really comes deeply from the self. And I'd like to just put in there that all of these different processes, we love them, all those traditions, personal development, visioning, the guided processes and all of those mindful and connections and all of these things are brilliant. And also, we know that there's also this transcending that allows the mind to let go. And transcendental meditation gives us this ability to gain through all of these processes, this self-knowledge, this personal experience that is integrated and then taking us to those higher states. So what's in your toolkit? Like we saw Gabby's mountains behind her. What are you going to put in your knapsack, okay, to get you to the top of that mountain, to use that kind of outward analogy? What is going to take you all the way to tap into that wisdom within? And then when you think about your personal project, your professional project, or that external project, how is that connection with your wisdom community going to take you there? How is this going to allow you to really tap into nature and get that support of nature around you? Because when you are on fire and you're alight, it's like everything is attracted together to bring all of those influences into one story. And ultimately, this is about us reconnecting with that unity of life. And that is our quantum storyline, which is in the quantum field itself. And then we've got enlightening and neuromimicry. And what did you say? Neuromimicry? Okay, I try and keep the technical words out there, but that's definitely a completely unknown technical word. But we do know about enlightening, and that's that light within, and that joy and happiness of life, and that radiance. And we all shine that from our heart on our path moving forward. And when you think about all of the people listening to this and shining their light, and when we work together, we can create that pathway into the future and that bridge into that preferred future that we want. And this is about taking those patterns of nature from the quantum world into the material world. And that very point of transcendence that dilates into space, time, and causation and creates all those beautiful patterns that we see in nature, and then bring them together in our story, in our project. And this is, tapping into the patterns of, the natural world of biology. But actually, the discovery that I'm bringing out is called neuromimicry. And I've presented this around the world. And essentially, this is using those templates of neuroscience to apply them in our personal projects, our professional projects, or our, projects in the world. And the exciting thing about that is you just heard it. We can take that geometry, that mathematics, that understanding of the fabric of space and time, and all of those patterns, and apply them directly in our project through the doorway of, not Tom Haines, the doorway of our physiology, our neurophysiology, and this antenna that can tune into that quantum world and that transcendence, and then progressively integrate that in terms of higher states of consciousness into this applied world. This is a breakthrough bigger than the internet, bigger than even the Industrial Revolution. This is kind of more along the appearance of life on Earth. And we can start to think about a 100-year vision, a 1,000-year vision, a 10,000-year vision. How far do we want to go? Just keep on board. This is about something exponential opening up for humanity. Something new, but also something old. Something that has reinvented, enlivened itself in our Earth walk, but also that eternal ancient wisdom that is the foundation of this global transformation festival. And then lastly, the ING is inspirations, networking, and goals. Okay. And this is your, that inspired natural gift that you have. Let's support each other as a community and collaborate. Presentations at conferences, attracting people, masterminds, and working together. And I'd like to invite you to connect with me to support you with those masterminds. And mentoring, supporting people, the people with their longer Earth walk can shorten the path for the people with their newer Earth walks. And this is coaching, achieving goals, and building that project. So when you think of your project, who would you like to help you? Who would be your investors? Which grants would you like? Which government departments need your support? And it is that way around, by the way, that's why they help you. And also which investors and which new currencies, new digital private networks can support you to grow and innovate that project. So I'm just coming back to the big screen, just so you remember that I'm here. And I think the main thing is, we're coming up to the end here, but what I would like to say is when you think about that blueprint of the quantum world being applied in your project, I'd like to give you a blueprint how to do this that you can hold in your heart. Gabby, what is a river that runs down that icy mountaintop down to you?
It is called the Kiwa River. As it's
Kiwa?
called. The Kiwa.
Kiwa. Okay, so now I usually use the analogy of the Himalayas and the Ganges. But you can also think more locally, for Gabby, the Kiwa River. Kiwa. Because the ki is like right at the top and the wa is right at the bottom. Okay, Kiwa. I'd like to visit that river. What I'd like to say about this is imagine the Himalayas and you've got these glaciers, snow falling, rain falling, and that water and aquifers coming out from the mountain and creating the mouth of the Ganges, and those rivulets forming and that torrent beginning to form. And then that river that in its youthful exuberance is crashing down the mountain over rocks, big rivers coming together, but it's a torrent surging forward at different times of year. And then it's going through Rishikesh and Haridwar and those high holy places where the rishis from the high mountains come at festival times to visit the temples. And those spiritual centers then, as that river twists and turns in the foothills of the Himalayas and then starts to ease into larger, curves, there are farms and water being taken off that Ganges. And it's still revered as that spiritual holy river. But the main thing is that it's nourishing farms and all that silt and fertility is now growing lives. And there's big cities, more big rivers coming in those great sangams. And essentially, then it's curving towards that delta at the ocean. And we know that it spreads out slowly into those tidal flats and mangroves, and then merges with that ocean to start that cycle again. And this is an analogy, but it's more than an analogy. It's actually an homology, if you want to go and look up that word, because this is space-time blinking in and out and evolving into our material world and back again. And it's doing that so many times that we forget. about that quantum level. But it's also this story of your project, going from all those ideas coming together, finding that pathway down the mountain, and then sliding through Rishikesh. And you can imagine me sitting there with Suleik, in this temple, having this discussion, and then life evolving on through all those days and weeks and months. And now I come to you to speak today, thinking of that day or back then. And this is like a plan for your project. And I like to call this a memory castle. And it's a beautiful idea. So it can be somewhere where you lived as a child. It could be this story, but essentially this is something that can keep you on your quantum storyline, okay? That you're starting to build this pathway in your heart, and you're feeling yourself in your day-to-day transactions, but you're also feeling that connection around you. And this is really where we start to partner with each other, but also deeply within ourselves. And this is really where we start to share with friends and family, those connections. Just start talking, just start, okay, today. And think about your project and what is that next step that you would like to take? And think about what is that kind of guiding memory palace, that story? And then where is that in you? And how does that grow? And all those little influences, etc., those little nudges, and as that flow starts to get more powerful and nourishing, and you can see it supporting and creating that value for people, that's when it gets really valuable, because we do know life is service. And when we can connect our passion with that service, then this lights up, because people just start nourishing and feeding you. And so what I'm talking about today is a call to action, but it's also a call to inaction. It's a call for you to write your archetypal story, your heroine's quest, your hero's quest, to tap into your elders, your First Nation people. Ask her, ask him, ask them, guide me. But also, it's to tap into your passion. What is your project that you would love to see? And even if you just tap into that for a moment each day, you will feel so energized. I love it when I do something in the morning and then I'm on for the rest of the day. But if I get stuck behind the computer and the email, it's not so good. So I think the main thing from my side is, let's start on this project and talk about that. Find your group, find your tribe, find your people, and find your passion, and really work with all those people around you to listen, because this listening process is inspired by the nature of the gap in between every synapse in our physiology, every transmission of electrical and chemical impulse from the old state to that silence, to the new state emerging, and then that new impulse. And this is structured in our very DNA, in our very consciousness. And so that listening is that quantum listening where we see it materialized, but also that quantum listening that we see it immaterialized. And it's not only existent, and it's not only non-existent, and it's not partially existent and not partially non-existent. Now, if you followed that, you probably need to listen to it again. What I'd like to say is, what is your memory castle? How do you grow that? How do you build that? How do you find that story in you, your quantum storyline? When everything's said and done, that this is going to take you through your life and to the other side and back again, or whichever way you want to believe that things unfold here. This is your memory of yourself. And this is where you flow, where you fly, and you work to find all of those inspirations. We know in the quantum world that, we've got knowledge and wisdom, we've got organization, we've got the quantum basis for intuition and communication on a level that we couldn't imagine. We've got the understanding of how to structure water, grow food, health and well-being from nourishing plants. It's so simple. It's amazing. Good routine, connecting with the cycles of nature. This is all built into your memory castle, all of these quantum innovations. And then we can work building energy. And so when you think of that project, in the good community in Laguna in northern New South Wales, all of these elements add value to their quantum storyline and their physical storyline. And also we can think about how we work with the fabric of space-time to really transform, to control gravity, and to attract that heaven on earth and that new earth that we're talking about, and that inspiration of life that we just want to live and connect. So let's connect. And I'd love to work with you and connect with you, whether it's on that level of the quantum level, or if it's also in terms of space and time. There's connections here via Telegram and Facebook and these amazing networks of LinkedIn and Twitter and email. Take a screenshot of that and you can connect with me. And I'd love to work with you and support you with presentations. I can speak to your people. Also, I'd love to support you, connecting you with networks and with mastermind groups. There's many ways that we can support, because also there are so many opportunities. There are new virtual spaces that are safe and secure, that was the way the internet was always meant to be. There are new digital currencies and sovereign currencies that are capturing the best of all currencies. There are also new innovative technologies and systems and processes, and we just now need to plug it in and bring it together. We have an opportunity to collaborate, connect with our quantum storyline, and live that dream in our common waking hours. This is who we are. This is what we came here for. And now, this is what we are going to live together, is our quantum storyline in this place here and now.
Thank you so much, Tom. That was just absolutely beautiful and brilliant. I've been mesmerized in, you're just showing us how to bring communities together in what is the basis of this movement and the festival is peace, harmony, and unity. And you just so beautifully brought that across, encouraging us to tap into our own wisdom and figure out who we are, what our purpose is, and use our toolbox and accumulate new tools to get there. My background picture is quite fitting. How do I get to the top of the mountain?
I loved it.
Yeah, and you're saying it's possible. It's possible for all of us. And I cannot thank you enough for coming on today and sharing this with us.
Gabby, it was my pleasure as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to a really long conversation. I'm passionate about India, as you can hear, and I know there's another festival coming up, but also really, let me know how I can support your group as well.
We are in the closing ceremony that I hope you can attend at 3:30 on track 1. We'll speak a bit more about the council and what it means. And it's not just a festival, it's a movement. And we want to keep that movement going and bring as many of you who have conviction and feel a call for it on board. So I'll see you at 3:30 on track 1, I hope.
Yes, brilliant. Fantastic. Thanks so much for the opportunity. And thank you to the Global Transformation Festival.
Thank you, Paul. Tom Paul. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Tom Paul Haynes.
No, it's good. My mother would be thrilled. Tom Paul was the original idea.
I should get it right. Tom Paul Haynes, thank you so much for the quantum storyline.